Hey everyone, today I want to take another quick look at conditionals. I'll be talking about if, else if, and else. I had set up the project with an index.html file and a script pointing to an app.js file in the same directory. So to prove to myself that everything is all connected, let's just console log hello, refresh it, and so here we can see that we're all connected. So let's make this a little bit bigger, and I want to set up a variable called truthy, and I'll set this to true. So the first conditional we could work with is, let's say, if truthy is true, let's console log this is true. Now if I save this and run this in my browser, I would expect that code to work. This is true. So using that same conditional, if I wanted to check to see if it was false, I could check just to see if truthy is false. Let's console log false. So we wouldn't expect this to run because we didn't change the variable. But if I were to change truthy to false for demo's sake, we gotta make sure to spell it correctly. If I refresh it, now I get this is false. So this may be a way you want to write your code depending on the structure of your app. Another way we could have done this is I could say if truthy is true, let's go ahead and grab this console log up here just so we're not repeating, not having to type it all over again. Else, let's console log this is false. So let's go ahead and run this and try to expect what's going to happen. Do you think this block of code is going to run or this block of code is going to run? To know that, you'd have to look at what's happening on line 1. When I refresh this, we can see that this is still false because we didn't change this value. So let's change truthy to true just to prove that everything's working. And this may work if you're checking for true or false, but what happens if I change this to a thing? Now we notice that it's actually still seeing it as a false value. So maybe we can check for a string called a thing as well. To get that to work, we'd have to change this to an else if. So just like I did before, I'll go ahead and copy this. I'll paste it below. But I want to add this else if in here. Else if truthy is a thing, let's console log this is a thing. So let's go ahead and see what we get. Now we get this is a thing. But if we were to change this back to false, and not a string of false, but just the Boolean false itself. We're not checking for our false anymore. Oh, and here we actually have to comment this out because we can only declare it once. So now we can see we're not checking for false anymore. So let's go ahead and add this other else, and let's console log false. So let's go ahead and refresh it. And I'm console logging false. Let's console log this is false, just to be a little extra clear here. This is false. Alright, now just raising even more check conditions, let me go ahead and I'll comment this out. Now let's instead change this to 4. Again, we're changing truthy up, just for example's sakes. It's still rendering as false, so kind of the same problem as we had down here. What I think we should do is, let's say, else if truthy is false, let's console log this is false, else let's console log unrecognized input. So when I refresh this, I get unrecognized input. If I comment this out and bring back false, I should get false, this is false, If I were to bring it back to a thing, we'll get this is a thing. And if we were just checking to see if truthy was true, which would make a whole lot more sense, we'll see this is identifier truthy has been declared because we need to comment this out. We see this is true. Great. So I hope this helped everybody.